Hello, welcome to the Invivo Repair Centre. Today we're going to be looking at how to fit the auxiliary cable for the Innexxiss BC6 Bluetooth board. Now what this cable does, I'll just take it out of the bag. It's a small trailing lead cable, and on one end there is a 3.5mm jack socket, and on the other is a small connector. I don't know if you can zoom in on that. Okay, so there you have it. So this cable will fit, this end plugs into the socket on the Invivo BC6 Bluetooth board, and then I'm going to show you how it's routed out the back of the dock. And when the cable is installed, you have the rear of the dock, and actually coming out the back is a small 3.5mm cable socket, and this acts as a line in for your audio devices. You can plug any 3.5mm source, and when there is audio coming into the source from your computer or from wherever it's coming from, then the dock will automatically power up and play the audio. But it's the lowest down in the list of priorities, so that if there is an iPod plugged into your dock, the iPod will play, and if there's a Bluetooth connected and you press play on your Bluetooth, it will override the audio from the actual socket. So the way this is normally used, it's plugged into your PC or wherever. Use it as a normal dock speaker. And if you want to play your iPod, you can plug it into the dock and play, or if you want to connect by Bluetooth, you select the dock from your Bluetooth device list, connect and then play, and the unit itself will switch the audio source to your Bluetooth. So you don't have to keep plugging and unplugging, so you can use it plugged in all the time. So this is the cable, available from our website. All BC6 boards have the auxiliary audio input jack fitted. So you'll see a little white connector which I'll point out to you in a moment. Just a quick note on the fact that this video is not intended for somebody who wants to fit the BC6 board. There is a very detailed video which shows you how to fit the BC6 board in the first instance, and I strongly suggest you familiarise yourself with that video before trying to fit this cable. You can do it as part of the same operation, but you need to be familiar as to how to fit the actual board itself before you put the cable in. So this has already got the BC6 board installed, but you don't necessarily have to have it installed. So you turn the dock over, and the tools are here. There's a standard cross-point screwdriver. I'm going to be using an electric one to save time so you don't get bored. There is a Torque screwdriver which is available in the kit, or you can order it separately on our website. And what you will need is a small file. It's about 3.5mm diameter. It is necessary to remove a little bit of plastic just to allow the cable to come out through the side of the base moulding, but I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So initially I'm just going to disassemble this dock, but if you are fitting a board, it's probably already disassembled, but the assembly method is pretty much the same. Take out 3 screws. Okay. Okay. So in this instance, you do have to remove all of the base screws. I'm going to take them out. So we have the 4 base screws and the 3 dock connector moulding screws. So the whole of this base is now removable. Now what you do need to do to save yourself a lot of time, there are other videos. If you happen to accidentally remove the sound processor, there is a video on the website that shows you how to remove it and get back to square one so that your sound processor is plugged in. There's a ribbon cable that comes down from the front of the dock here into the sound processor. And if you don't do this bit right, it will come unplugged. Then everything will work, except you won't get any audio when you put it back together. So there's a separate video how to recover the situation, but for here I'm holding with the left hand. I just lift off this moulding here, base moulding, remove 1/2 mm moulding, and there you can see here is the Invivo BC6. And as I said before, if you want to know how to fit the BC6, then you need to look in the other video. This video is purely to cover the installation of this auxiliary cable. Okay. Now I don't know if you need to come in a bit closer, Alex, to look at this, but here is the socket on the BC6 board, and clearly this small white plug has to be plugged into the socket. And if you look at the plug carefully, you can see on one side, you can see the metal connectors on the inside. I would call that the top of the connector. Now that side of the connector, if I turn it over slowly, you'll see the other side. The other side is plain white plastic. So when you install this connector, you need to plug it into the small socket with the plain white plastic facing you, away from the board. So I don't know whether you can do this carefully here, don't need to be too close, but if I just pop the connector in and then push with my thumb, it's a little bit awkward for me because I'm holding it so you can see, but if I push, the plug is in. So that's the connector fitted into the BC6. Right, the next stage is to put the moulding back onto the BC6 board. Make sure it's down over the pegs as instructed, and we're going to route this cable just to the left of the ribbon cable and the upright pillar. If you have it like this and you put the screw back in, then the cable will be trapped between there and that pillar, but to have it just there is absolutely fine. So you need to hold it in that position and just present the moulding back into position, pop the half moon moulding screws into position, screw them up. In fact, at the moment I'm just going to do one or two perhaps. There you go. So now you can see the cable, actually I've looped it through there, which is not ideal, but I'll just bring that back through. There you have the cable ready to be routed down here through that small gap at the back and out through there. Okay, so that's the, I'm just going to leave that routed in position there so that cameraman can have a look. That's roughly how the cable is going to be. Can you see that? Good. Okay, so there you have it. Now transferring our attention to the base moulding, and I'll show you what the small file was for. This cable goes underneath this edge, and in order for it to come out, you do need to remove a small piece of plastic very close in this corner, making a half moon impression in this corner. And what that does, that acts as a strain relief. That means to say the cable is safely clamped, so if you pull on it, it won't pull the plug out down in this corner here. So I'm just going to quickly make that cut, and then we'll show you what it's like afterwards. If there's a problem with that, we can do some photographs and put them on the web if it's not clear enough on the video. So you just take the file and holding it firmly on the table, the edge would be useful. So you go down about the whole diameter of the file, so if it's a 3mm or 3.5mm file, you're almost going down to the level where it's level with the top surface of the plastic, or just slightly above will be okay. There you go, so job done. I'll just clear off the burr there slightly. Just clean off the little bits of plastic that's left over. And then I don't know if you can see that there, we have a small cutout in the side wall of the moulding. Okay, we've got that?
Yep.
Good. So to put it back together, hold the dock on the table. You can also grasp it between your knees if you find that easier. That's where most of the engineers at Invivo actually hold the dock down between their knees when they're putting it back together. It kind of keeps the dock stable, and also you've got the advantage of having both hands. I'm trying to do this on the tabletop, but I'll just reroute the cable again down the side there. Be careful you don't get trapped underneath this boss. If the cable wanders out from where it is now, it can be over that hole, and of course that's going to interfere with that plastic boss, so it needs to be tucked down the side of the sound processor. So back on again, and just ease the cable into the slot you've made. There you go. Now it's crept out at the top, so it can be a bit tricky. There you go, so there we go, that's better. Drop the top in first, drop the bottom in first, get it into the slot you've made, and that's it there. So whilst you're holding that in position, you can just put your screws back in. So there you have it. You have the cable coming out the rear of the dock. It doesn't get trapped between the dock and the table because the feet are higher, so you know basically the cable is protected. It's stuck, it's strong now, it won't be pulled out because it's been clamped here. And then into this you can plug, as we said before, any line in, line out source, 3.5mm jack source. So that's how you add an auxiliary input to the Invivo BC6 Bluetooth board with the trailing cable version. There is another version, which is another video that shows it, and some instructions of one that involves putting a socket in the front of the unit, but you know it is slightly more tricky to do the hole in the front, and if you just want to leave something plugged in, then the cable version is fine. And of course, if you've already got the Invivo board and you want to add the auxiliary later, then the cable's the ideal option because it just plugs straight into the board. And there you have it. That's how to add the 3.5mm line in cable to the Bose SoundDock Original. Thank you very much.